Hi, welcome back to this video on decision making. Now, I would argue that some of the videos that I have made in the past are also actually a part of decision making, like videos on risk. When you make certain decision, there is always a risk attached to that, right? However, I wanted to get into nitty-gritties of decision making, how we make certain decisions, why we make, how our brain works, and so on. Now, there are several books on decision making. One of the books that really stood out for me is This is Water by David Foster Wallace. He was actually invited to speak on the graduation ceremony of class of 2005 in one of the schools. And this book is an essay of what I think a short summary of what he talked about. He starts with a story about two fish that are swimming in the pond. They met an old fish who asked, "Good morning, boys, how's the water?" And while swimming for a while, one of the fish asked the other one, "What the hell is water?" The point is that the most obvious and important realities are the ones that's is very difficult to see for all of us. It's so true, right? Um, David talks about how we hold on to our beliefs, right? And we feel that those beliefs cannot be questioned. We become arrogant. We become closed-minded, right? Um, and then he talks about something called default setting. So he gives an example that imagine you are working 9 to 7 in an office, you're tired, you go back home and find out that you don't have anything to prepare for dinner. So you go to the supermarket. When you go there, you see that there is a huge crowd. You somehow make way inside, you try to get the stuff, then again you see that there is a big queue. You are frustrated. Some people are talking loud, some people are on cell phones. We always think and maybe bad about them, that these people don't have the manners, they are talking so loud and so on. What David talks about is that this is our default setting. This is what we think, and this happens because um, these thoughts come from subconsciously, right? The point is that we are not trying to think that consciously, that maybe the guy is shouting, talking on cell phone because there is some urgent call, or why many people are here because they also might be working hard like that guy. Okay. um, so that's our default setting, which is so true, and that is why I think I also made a video with one of the CEOs that you could see, where I talked about why we need time to think, because if we don't think, we always get into our default setting. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you been in a situation where your boss or your client might have said to you, "I have 20 years of experience or 30 years of experience. Now you're trying to tell me to change this opinion about XYZ?" I would like to share a very interesting story. I wanted to invite women CEOs to annual events that we used to organize pre-COVID. Um, and the stakeholder asked me, "Are you planning to invite them as a speaker or as an audience?" I said, "As an audience," because we already had speakers. So he said, "The level of these women CEOs are, very high." The point was that after reading this book, I realized that the views and thoughts of this stakeholder was because he was in a default setting. It came unconsciously from his mind, the closed-mindedness thought, right? Had he spent time thinking, then maybe he could have thought something very different, actually. Um, and this is very normal, right? And so instead of, the whole idea of this decision making is that how you could think and try to make decisions. In order to get there, we'll get into how our brain works. So we have conscious mind and subconscious mind, right? We have emotional part and the logical part of the brain, and then there is a constant fight between these two and so on. But the point of this particular video was that um, It's the default setting that is leading us to make wrong decisions. It is not allowing us to think correctly about how and why we should be doing a certain thing. This default setting also leads to ego, that leads to blind spots, and because of that, we are not able to make a good decision. So now I don't want to say that by telling you this, I'm making perfect decision. But if I see my evolution for the past 6 to 7 years, I'm improving on the decision making because I'm able to think, whether whatever the decision that I'm trying to make is correct or not. And if it is correct, how it is correct. And if it is wrong, how it is wrong. So I will see you in my next video where we will be talking about how our brain functions and why we make certain decisions and how we make certain decisions. Thank you very much.